I'm not very much in favor of the counting of points.
Does it work for you? No.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Runthrough, your favorite figure skating podcast, where we talk about all the things that make us kiss, make us cry, and make us talk about being a neutral athlete, whatever that may mean. My name is Adam Rippon. I'm here with Ashley Wagner and not Olympic champion Sarah Hughes. Let us begin.
Let us begin.
Let us go. Yeah, we're fresh off of some pretty big news, and are we surprised?
Well,
I would say, yeah, I was a little surprised at some of the athletes who have been declared neutral. And I've gone through the ISU communication to kind of try to decipher, like,
yeah,
maybe my
me
idea
too.
of what neutral is. So anyway, this is an emergency episode, by the way.
Yeah,
Right.
we're in
Alert,
an
alert,
emergency.
Yeah, I also went through the ISU communication. I mean, I think that a lot of Russian athletes, like prominent Russian athletes, have been given AIN status at this point. The chief one I think that we'll probably end up talking about is Kamila Valieva, but I think that, it's Sasha Trusova, who's now going by her married name. Ignatieva, I think, is the name that she's using.
Mhm.
I saw Boykova Kozlovsky got in. I saw, so it's like, there's some prominent Mark Kondryachuk some prominent people from the past Olympics, not just these past Olympics, because Peter Gumenik got his status too, but more from the Beijing quad that I think are like, whoa, it's weird to see their
Yeah.
names
Like back in the mix.
in an ISU bio.
It is, yes.
On an entry sheet. Like, it is weird. It's really weird. So let's get into it.
I think right off the bat, I've got to say that, like, when it comes to Trusova, after Beijing and then seeing her like go through her pregnancy and get back onto the ice, like purely from like an athlete's point of view, I personally am very curious to like see her compete like post pregnancy, and I just think that like it's gonna be. I think it's really cool to see her on the ice and to see her like see what she can do like post pregnancy. That's just like
I
a pure like.
agree with that. As like someone who's sitting here having given birth, what that did to my core and like just my skating body, I don't think I feel connected to at all in this chapter of my life. We had kids at like wildly different parts of our careers and lives. So like there's that to be said. But I, as like mom to mom, I find that incredibly impressive. Like hats off
So
to
impressive.
her for being able to do that. There's a reason why you don't see a lot of athletes come back from pregnancy, the injury of pregnancy. You just don't, but you like really don't see athletes come back from that in this sport in particular. Cause I just really do think it like takes such an intense toll on your body that you specifically need to have activated for figure skating. So yeah, that's amazing.
I mean, I honestly cannot wait to see, because it's like I'm really in awe of seeing what I've seen her do. Like we've seen like she's like a full grown woman. She's a mother, and we've seen her do quadruple jumps in practices and in shows so far. And so I'm very curious to see like what that will look like. And I think at this point in her life, you feel that like, I think it's, for me personally, it's so much easier to like connect to the story of somebody who's like been in it for a while, because you have a better idea of why they're doing it, what's their reasoning for even being there. And this is why I feel like this time around, like not that it wasn't the last time around, I was always impressed by what she was doing, but this time I really feel like No, she's like crazy in a way that like you can't help but kind of
Root
love
for
it.
her.
Yeah, you can't help
Yes,
but root for it.
Yeah,
totally.
I agree. I still am prepared. I cannot wait to like eat my own words, and I hope that I do. Her style of skating, the last that I like really watched, is not my personal favorite. That being said, like there's been so much time since I really paid attention to her skating that she's definitely had time to develop. And I think just like becoming a mom, but also just getting older in your skating career, you have different values and different focuses. So I'd be curious to see if like her skating kind of has a chance to grow a bit more this season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it'll also be interesting to see like, we saw the way that the Milan Cortina games went, and we saw what the judges were. We saw how those neutral athletes were received, and how that like the landscape of skating had shifted a bit, less away from a technical standpoint of more of, especially in the women's event, of like it needed to be a total package, needed to be
Mhm.
clean, and it needed to be this like fully put together thing where the risk of the quad wasn't even worth it in the end. And so when we get to those qualifier events of like, when we see these athletes competing at a European championships or at a national championships, they'll decide of their national teams, where also do these athletes fall in with the other Russian athletes who have neutral status?
Mhm.
Because we only know the names that we know. And I haven't really personally kept up with like Russian skating in the last like 4 years. So a lot of these names are pretty new to me.
And I also think what is interesting about what's about to happen, it's kind of like a bird flies to an island and then it's like existing in its own environment for a little while. And so then it becomes
Totally.
something totally different. And I feel like that's kind of what has happened with Russian skating in particular. It's kind of branched off into a little bit of a different value system and entertainment system. And we're going to watch that kind of come back into this system that has been, I don't know, I don't think that skating is radically different from the last time that the Russians were competing, but I do think that maybe there's been a little bit more of a shift towards what is prioritized and what the fandom is like hungry for. And I'm curious to see how they like kind of
Yeah.
play into that.
Yeah. I think it varies discipline to discipline. Like I do
Mm.
think the women's discipline feels radically different than it felt in 2022.
I agree.
And not like to your point, Ashley, not because the fans are hungry for something different. They were probably hungry for all the same things then and just not
Yeah.
really getting it at the top level of who was winning the competitions. But it does feel like because it's been this many years without those people at the top, to your point, like the appetite for what they were bringing before, I think has seeded a lot. And so it's not, yeah, I don't know what to make of.
Like it's going to be crazy to see Yuna Aoki skating
Yeah.
against Sasha Trusova. I need to start remembering her married name, but like the two of them.
To be fair, I just want everyone to know if I say Sasha Trusova, I mean that with deep respect for her
Yeah.
marriage as well.
Yes.
But I have never changed a person's last name in my phone, even the best of friends. It's too hard.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
And Sasha Trusova being one of your best friends,
Right.
you won't,
Correct.
you can't crumble now.
Exactly. No, I can't go back on that. No, I mean it will be like I do want to see like how her skating has evolved and changed too. I do think, when we're talking about the discipline by discipline of it all, I gotta say, when I saw Boykova and Kozlovsky on an entry list,
Felt good.
I got very excited.
I'm giddy.
I do think that pairs has felt, like it could use some of like this
This.
Russian style in it, in the pairs
Mhm.
discipline. And I am you know, like this is me as purely a skating fan and not thinking about the political considerations here, but just from a pure skating standpoint, I am excited to have the Russian pairs be back in these fields.
Well, especially with the Japanese stepping away, there's going to be a big, I mean, talent gap, honestly. And
Yeah.
not even just like talent, but more experience gap. I think that might be a better word for it. So,
Yes.
and with pairs, I
100%.
think that like it really is how long have you been doing this with each other? And post Olympic year, we're going to be seeing so many new teams, and that's exciting in its own way. But it'll be nice to see a team that we know that has had years to kind of continue to grow get back out on the ice.
Yeah. So,
should we talk about Camilla? I feel
Yeah.
like we should.
Or
have
should
to
we?
talk
Do you
about
want to
the
start with
Camilla in the
Mark
room.
just to get Mark out of the way?
Sure.
Do you want to
Mark?
talk about Mark?
Mark served in the military.
Yes. And so I feel like this is a great time to go into the ISU communication of
Yeah.
like neutral status.
Yes.
And so I know when I'm reading it, it seems to be a lot about like the recognition that you have to go in and it feels, honestly, this communication feels there are criteria, and it's like you can't be in active service in the armed forces.
Okay.
No military operations since 2022, and you cannot have actively or publicly supported the war in Ukraine. Those are the three like technical stipulations. Everything else to me, and Sarah, like, please take it over if you feel otherwise, feels a little bit more like a pledge, because even at the end of this like communication, which is communication 2804, at the bottom of it, there's like an acknowledgement for individual neutral athletes, and it reads as more of a pledge and like a commitment to neutrality than really anything more than that to me. So it's more of this pledge of like, I will remain neutral. I will not, engage in military actions. I won't join the military, and I'm just going to kind of keep my mouth shut about the war. And then that's sort of that. Also, just to note, in this communication, they do like note that the ISU continues to condemn the war and will continue its financial support of the Ukrainian Skating Federation, which I wasn't really aware that they were making contributions to them, but they said that they'll continue their ongoing support. So that's in this
cool.
as well. And I think that like now we're getting into the sort of the like, well, technically,
Yep.
what
Yep.
is active duty? Like, what
Yep.
is that? And like, listen, I think that if we're talking about like standing by the actions of a government, and is that you taking a picture with the president? Like, does that mean that you support everything that they're doing? And I think that it's hard to say, like, listen, I wouldn't be taking a picture with Trump. I wouldn't be taking a picture with Putin. But that's me. And does that mean that
and that's
like,
America.
Yeah, and that's America. Yeah, that's very, very true.
I mean, I think that just this, we've talked about this like ad nauseum, but like banning Russian athletes for this exact reason creates such a slippery slope where there are a lot of kind of like plot holes and things that really you can push back on. And I think that the ISU is in such a tricky position, just quite frankly, putting that out there. At the same time, like, do I think that Mark was on the front lines? I mean, I think we pretty much know he wasn't. And so then it's like, okay, so you were technically serving in the military. How much? How active were you? And that's just then you have to really get into like the nitty gritty of that, which is frustrating and then doesn't feel like you necessarily actually do have a standard set, and it feels really gray. And with something like this that people are going to feel very sensitive towards, I think that the gray area that's been created with this criteria is what's making people feel really strongly about it.
Yeah, and I think also like I just to me the word neutral is like come up with something else. Because I think if the point is, we want to let the athletes back in because XYZ, they've spelled it all out in the
Mhm.
communication. If you want to let the athletes back in and just not let them win medals for these countries, but they can win medals all the same. I don't know that like it just feels like the neutral portion of that confuses everybody and makes it very gray because it's like, sorry, like if you have like content with Putin on your Instagram page, like Camilla does.
And it's
Mhm.
still pinned. Today is August 10th. Like it's still up.
So,
Pinned.
like to me, it's
The
like
pinned is crazy, by the way.
Yeah.
To go
pinned is crazy
pinned is crazy.
because like we could sit here all day and say, well, when the war started, Camilla was about 16 or about to turn 16, like very young. She's not anymore, and it's pinned on her Instagram page. So I think it's just sort of like, I don't like if we want to be like, hey, the only thing that matters is that they didn't serve in the military and they didn't explicitly say I support the war, then fine. But that's not someone that's necessarily neutral. And I think that is
Hmm.
the terminology that bothers me of it is like you're trying to make it seem like these people are all going to be neutral, quote
Right.
unquote, when of course, like, honestly, I don't believe that it's completely possible for humans to be neutral in situations like these on either side of anything. I think
Yeah.
like true neutrality goes against like human nature anyways. But like I digress. It's just that why call it a neutral athlete? I don't like that's what I don't understand. And it's like you set yourself up to upset people
Yeah.
when you said we are going to let them in as neutral athletes with criteria and then come to find that really you're applying that criteria so specifically that it's actually quite easy for anyone to get status
Mhm.
almost. Then
Mhm.
it's like, okay, well, what was all this for? Like, just let them back in. Like, I think
Right.
that's what bothers me is like, and I'm not saying like they should be back in or not. I'm just saying that, don't call it one thing that it isn't. Just call it what it is.
I think that was the one thing when we like when we were texting in our group chat was that like if there was one athlete who felt not neutral, at least in my mind, it felt like it was Camilla. If
Mhm.
only for the fact, and you know what, like maybe this is me projecting, but like it felt like she became a huge she became like this face of like one, she's at the epicenter of like this huge doping scandal, and I feel like the ban of Russians out of competition was because of the war. And also like just to like touch base again, like because there's always a conversation of like the Russians are banned. If Russia is banned, so should Israel, so should the United States. Russia was banned because they violated the Olympic truce multiple times. They violated it in 2008 at the Beijing Olympics with the war in Georgia, in 2014 with Crimea, and they invaded Ukraine right after the closing of the 2022 Olympic Games in Beijing. So this is why
Mhm.
they were banned. This is the banning. Coinciding with all of this is the huge doping scandal of 2014 where it was uncovered that the Russian government was behind a huge uh, state-sponsored doping program and a huge doping scandal of changing out samples and
Watch, what
basically
is it? Icarus. If you want more information on that, watch
yes.
Icarus.
And so the whole reason that Russia was not competing under its flag at the 2018 and 2022 games was because the country you were like that the Russian Olympic Federation was banned. And so they had all of these athletes competing as like neutral individual athletes. I think individual athletes was the terminology.
Yeah, the 2018 was Olympic athletes from Russia,
Mhm.
OAR, and then 2022 was right, it was like FSR for World Championships, like Skating Federation of Russia, and it was ROC for the Olympic Games.
Yes.
But I mean, all of these different terms, I think, like really highlights just how little people know what to do with this situation.
Yeah.
Right? Like they
Mhm.
just keep on throwing terms at them to make things right, make things feel more fair. And yet at the end of the day, I don't know if there is a way for this to feel fair, both to Russian athletes who are being kept out of this because of things that
Mhm.
maybe they have or have not done, and to Ukrainian athletes. Like it's just no part of it is fair on so
Mhm.
many different accounts.
And it's almost impossible to punish the people who put these athletes in these positions. One,
Yeah.
when it comes to the state-sponsored doping program, and two, when it comes to the war. Like I always try to think back to like if I were like an athlete living and training in Russia and I'm doing all the right things, like it doesn't feel fair, and it's not fair if like I don't support the war and I want to be out there and I want to compete and I'm not allowed to just because of where I'm from.
Mhm.
And so that's not fair. That's like not what the point of sports are. I think that just it's so loaded because you feel that like you would never want the Ukrainian athletes to feel like they're in danger or like not
Mm.
being respected or put in some sort of like very impossible position, which a lot of them are going to feel that way. Uh, and then at the same time, like there's still some sort of like unfinished business when it comes to the doping scandal.
Yeah.
Um, and it felt really like swept under the rug, and it just creates a lot of this sort of, it feels like illegitimacy to it.
Yeah.
But back to the Camilla of it all, it just felt like whether it was her doing or not, I feel that like her whole situation at the Olympics in Beijing really felt like in a way, like we've talked about it on the podcast before, where if like we had a teammate and they came with a positive doping test, we'd be like, bye, see you later. Like we wouldn't be like,
Yeah.
they're
Right.
treating her bad. Like, we'd be like, get out of town and get the alternate in there. Like I
Yeah.
don't care
Yeah.
who it is, get out of town. You're done. You ate too many poppy seeds on your bagel. I don't care. It's a
Right.
positive doping test. Like you're done. And that's the real individualistic idea of like an American athlete. Like we can be very like single-minded.
I mean, but
But
that's
with
also it's just so cultural, right?
it's cultural. But with the Camilla of it all, it felt like she had so many Russian people rallying around her in a way that like, there's this young teenage girl who's thrown into the middle of this. Obviously, I still don't believe, and I don't think anyone does for a second, that she's the one, going to the pharmacy being like,
No.
hey,
Right.
what do you
Yeah,
got
and
for me
absolutely
today?
not. No.
Right. Of
She
And
course not.
was involved in a system built out to support these athletes, and they're involved in it to a point of no question. But like,
and she ends up becoming the face of this like very like state-backed national pride in the middle of this war. So in a way she almost feels like the face of like, we're fighting Ukrainian Nazis, whether she wants to be or not, because she's like right at the forefront. She's in so many of these different like political events, and she's standing right next to Putin.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
and she
that
becomes a
doesn't feel
pawn, another type of pawn, like
yeah,
against her will, maybe, or maybe not. We don't know. Like, either
Mhm.
way, again, when the war started, she was underage. It's hard to judge anyone for things that they do at 15, 16 years old. I don't think we should do that to people. I would like to not be judged by the things I did when I was 16 years old,
totally.
obviously, but
Totally.
I think it's just like, it is hard when you consider the Ukrainian athletes who also are going to compete at these competitions. And like, I thought, it was interesting in the communication that you're referencing, Adam, that they were looking back at the original communication where they barred these athletes from competing, and they said those measures were expressly stated not to be a sanctioned disciplinary measure or ineligibility decision, but to have been taken exclusively in the interest of the safety of participants and the integrity of the competitions. So they're going back and they're being like, well, we weren't punishing them for the war. It was for athlete safety. And I
Mhm.
think it is, to me, that's almost like a harder thing to go back on. Do you know
Well,
what I
because
mean?
what's
Like,
shifted? Like,
because
are
to me,
athletes
it's like,
safer all of a
okay, well,
sudden?
the war is still going on. And I think Ukrainian athletes are still going to feel pretty uncomfortable and unsafe in an environment where these people are allowed to be and treated as equals. And I
Yeah.
think that it does eliminate the safe space of it to bring them back. That doesn't mean that it's wrong. I think it's just like this is really tricky, like,
Mhm.
and I think like we saw last week a few of the members of the US Olympic team went to Trump's White House thing. Should Andrew and Max be allowed to compete at competitions where, I don't know, an Iranian skater is competing? You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like, I think it's just really, it's tough
Yeah.
because when you start to get into, well, I was in a picture with this person, or I went to, the White House or the palace or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, do we start to just assign intent there? I don't know. I think it's
Right.
a
Like, how
slippery slope.
damning is proximity,
I
basically?
think it's a really slippery slope. That's all I'm saying. And I think it's like they're almost worse off being like this is because of the safety of the participants, because it's like, well, what's changed for the safety of the participants? Because the Ukrainian athletes, when they saw Camilla get approved, were not happy and
Mhm.
posted
Yeah.
about it online this weekend.
Yeah.
So, like, what's changed for them? Like, nothing's changed for
Nothing's
Ukraine.
changed. Yeah.
Right.
Like, to me, they'd be better off almost being like, it was a disciplinary measure for the war. We feel like we can no longer, in good faith, punish athletes for the war. We will continue to sanction coaches, officials, because they are an arm of the government. But you know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
almost like
Mhm.
worse to be like, oh, well, now the athletes are safe. It's like, well, are they?
Nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed.
Yeah.
So I just think it's and then to see that they have created such relaxed eligibility criteria where it's so specific that, being a propaganda tool for Putin doesn't affect you and your eligibility to be a neutral athlete.
Right.
That's very confusing.
It's
Yeah.
incredibly confusing. I mean, weren't and please tell me if I'm wrong. Boykova and Kozlovsky, weren't they both at that Putin rally wearing like the giant Z
I don't
I don't know.
remember. I know that Mishina
and
Galyamov
Galyamov were?
were.
And I think but like regardless, um, you know, I don't know if they were, if they not, but like I do know that like, like you were saying, Ashley, like at Mark, I know I've seen a picture of Mark like in a full on uniform.
I mean, I just looked him up, and one of the first things that pops up is him in uniform, like next to. I'll be honest, I do not know who this man is,
Oh,
but
you don't know your
like
Russian military generals?
in front of. I
In this
just.
episode of the Run Through, we'll be going over
Yeah.
all the highly ranked military officials in Russia.
But also, this is where it gets kind of complicated. Is obviously American athletes, there is a program that is optional where you can join the US Army. And I know like a lot of bobsledding athletes are involved in this program. I actually saw a lot of them that I knew were in that program who went to like the Trump White House event. And it's military service in that like you have to do training camp. You have to actually I think even Spencer is
He's in the
in this
military
same
athlete
program. I think he's in
Yes.
this same program. So my understanding is that what Mark was a part of was very similar to this program. That being said, I know that you're not necessarily going to see actual like action. You're more kind of operating as like a reserve military, but yeah, how much involvement in the military is okay before you're no longer neutral?
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
even
and this is why I think they were like very explicit with this language of like you had to take active part. What does it say? Active part in military operations in the war against Ukraine.
yeah.
So you
Right,
could
like
take
that
an
just
active
sounds
part
like
in a
you had to have
military
a gun in
operation
Ukraine.
if it
and
wasn't in Ukraine.
Mm,
You like it's I think it is, and you have to be in quote unquote active service. And the athlete program may fall under a different category than that. I think that's very intentional by the ISU. And, you know, you could see it as, hey, like people are getting conscripted into service in Russia,
Totally.
you
Mhm.
know? So how do we punish somebody for where, like Adam said, where they live?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, was Mark conscripted? Hard to say.
I think that
Maybe
he
not.
was. I think that he
Conscripted?
was. Yeah.
I mean, just to go back to Camilla for a second, you know, not only is she like the face of the war, aside from that, like, you know, it's also talks about like your affiliations to like the government and things like that. And if we think of her affiliations, aside from her own like personal connections to Putin and being at so many of these rallies, like she recently, within the last few months, moves to like Tatiana Novska's
Who
skating
is
school.
the
Who Tatiana
antithesis
Novka,
of
yes, she's
neutral?
married to
The
the press
picture of neutrality.
secretary of
Tatiana Novka.
Oh my God,
Vladimir
where's
Putin.
Michelle? If only we could have Michelle on to talk about this.
You know, and
Yeah,
she's not skating under her directly, but that is like, you know, it's another like association of like, okay, well, you're right. She's not, you know, with Putin, but she is with some oligarch's wife.
Right.
Yeah.
I would argue that Novka is less neutral than Putin.
She seems to be pretty positively charged in a direction.
She does. She does. Yeah, I don't know. I think also like in the larger picture of this, it really does come down to, do we believe that athletes should be accountable to the things that their governments are doing,
Yeah.
regardless of whether they support those things or not? I think like if we're taking sort of a democratic view of international sport, which nobody has to take that view, but if you were to take that view, it would be like, well, you know, you're allowed to vote for who you want to vote for at home. You know what I mean? And like
Mhm.
if you're not actively creating on purpose an unsafe environment for another athlete, then should you be allowed to compete? If you're just like minding your own business,
Yeah.
I don't
It's
know.
tough.
Right.
I'm not saying yes or no, but I'm posing the question of like, you know, when you really think about it, I think it is hard to come up with something, because the thing is, this has not been applied across the board to every country that has entered a conflict
Mhm.
of like an unfair nature. And I know, Adam, like obviously the Olympic truce plays into it of like the timing of the military action, but I think like, you know, overarching, that's pretty lost on people. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't, and
Of
does that
course.
really matter?
At
Like,
this
you know what
time,
I
it
mean? Like, does
doesn't.
it really matter
No.
that you started the war in March instead of in October? Like, you know what
Right.
I'm
Or does it just
saying? I
matter
think
that
it's
there is
just,
a war?
yeah, right. And so if you decide it matters that there's a war, and it matters that this country is doing something that we, you know, collectively, the international community deems as, you know, inappropriate, violent, genocidal, whatever,
Mhm.
like if we decide that that matters, then you have to take a long look at everybody, I think.
Mhm.
Um,
Agreed.
and if you're not going to do that, then I don't know that it is fair to punish these athletes. I think it's completely fair to keep the officials out and to not let them win any medals for Russia. But like,
Mhm.
again, where do we apply that to other people? Do we
Yeah.
apply it to other people? Should we? And if not, why them and why only them?
I mean, I think that truly, if the doping was not involved in this, it would be this wouldn't be a thing. Like I just
Mm-hmm.
It
I
would have
think
been,
it's the only
feels like a
reason
slap on
why
the
there's this
wrist.
exactly. I think that's the only reason why this is getting kind of into like cherry picking territory.
Mm-hmm.
But then I don't know. My frustration with this whole thing is the like, and this is an overgeneralization. Not everyone is like this, but like when I see people whining about how unfair it is and how like everyone is against the Russians when it's like we have documented proof again and again and again that you cheat. And so
Right.
when people no longer trust in your athletes and you want to whine about it, like where look inward. Where do you think that's coming from? There's not a system right now that has been created where a Russian athlete is going to go out onto the ice, and I personally, who gives a fuck what I think, but like where I'm going to be like, oh yeah, we can guarantee that that's a clean athlete, and
Right.
that's my
Right.
frustration.
And like even like that was really the like at the end of Beijing, that was where my biggest frustrations were like from, where it was just like, I'm there with Mariah. I'm seeing all of these other skaters, Kaori, Wakaba, Higuchi, and you're seeing all these skaters who you can pretty much guarantee all of them are like have done everything they can. They've done it all the right way.
Mhm.
And then at the end of the day, like all of the air is taken out of like the arena because there's just so much commotion around like these like three female Russian athletes. And you're like, I don't even think any of you should be in this event right now because
Yeah.
it's so frustrating and it's so disrespectful. And you're having people like, Yuna Kim, who doesn't say anything about like, nothing political or anything like that, at least, into an international audience, going on social media being like, I don't believe that like somebody who has a positive test should be competing in the Olympics. And it's like you try to save a teenager by basically kind of ruining it for everybody. And then it makes you question the legitimacy of every athlete that country has, because you'd think that the idea would be that if they were competing under a neutral status, that maybe the government wouldn't be sponsoring some sort of drug programs.
Yeah.
But that we find out that like that's not the case. It doesn't matter if they're technically neutral. The government is still heavily involved in the success of
Yeah.
the athletes. So they're still funding these different projects. So does the neutrality even really matter at this point?
Right.
Yeah. I also just want to understand. I mean, there's the obvious reasons of like why it's important to bring them back into competition. I think that you can make an argument for it being like, like we've discussed, how, is it fair to keep an athlete out if they can prove that they are quote unquote neutral and not supporting this war and, yada, yada, yada. Sure, there's that. But also, like, I just want to know why the push, and especially why the push for these specific athletes where the ISU had to have a good idea that they get some like pushback on this, right? Like, what are they gaining by having these athletes in? Because I think the sport has grown so much, the fandom has grown so much. We have some incredible athletes, and like, I'm excited to see an athlete like Trusova for sure. But like, what do you really gain by having Camilla come back? I think it's just going to bring more scrutiny and negativity into the sport and a discussion around like the fairness of the sport, which is a problem that we always have.
Yeah.
And I mean, she'll have to deal with that personally. Like there's not like she's gonna be welcomed back with open arms. So
No.
it's not like she has this like open, and I don't even think that we're taking this into the consideration of like she's coming back and she's sweeping everyone by like we don't even
No, I'm not
think
even
that.
thinking
No.
about that.
I'm not
No.
even thinking about like I'm not even thinking of how she'll place. Who knows how she'll place? Who knows anything? It's just what it means. And again, like like Sarah said earlier, like I would never want to be defined by things that happened to me or that I did when I was 15 years old.
Yeah. I mean, you have to also look at this situation with how old is she now? Is she
20, excuse me.
20?
She's 20.
Yeah. Yeah, because you have to
Like,
look
she's
at this
still
with like a
so young.
little bit of
I
empathy
know.
because she is so young and
She's still
being
at an
told
age
no.
where I would not want to be defined by my actions at that age.
Exactly.
Uh-uh.
You know
I mean,
what I mean?
I literally think of like my musical choices that I needed
I was
so
going to
many
the
people
tanning
to
booth.
tell me it was a good idea. Like I wasn't using a lot of autonomy in those moments and like making decisions. I was going where people told me to go and doing what people told me to do. And so I think it
I
is
mean,
important to also look at it through that lens of like, yes,
Yeah.
it's a choice, but based on where she's at in her life and her set of life experiences, I just wonder how much of it feels like a choice versus how much of it is just like, oh, well, this is the thing that I'm supposed to do.
the human brain is fully developed at age 25. That's what I'm just gonna, I mean,
Yeah.
period. That is when the human brain is fully developed. So I just think it's really tough. And
Yeah.
but I do think the ISU made this harder on themselves by calling it a neutral status. Like
Yeah.
if your point of view as the ISU is we do not want to keep Russian athletes out anymore. We don't think it's fair. We like that's what our position is, then I think people would respect it more if you just explicitly said that. You know what I
Right.
mean? And this
Yeah.
like beating around the bush of like, well, it was about athlete safety, but now there's not a risk to athlete safety anymore.
Right.
And you can be
Be specific
neutral
about
if
what
you just
changed.
didn't go shoot a gun in Ukraine. Well, that's not what neutral means. You
Right.
know, and I
Yeah.
think it's just this like why and you know, not to mention I know we talked about this earlier this summer on maybe on the Patreon, but the idea of them competing as a team in team events
Wait,
as neutrals,
I
a
don't like
neutral
that.
team, it's like, well, if they're neutrals, if they're individual neutral athletes, then they're not part of a larger team.
Exactly.
So just this terminology, I don't really understand
And
why
they
they can't come up
clarify
with something that's a little more accurate
right.
to what
Or like
it's meant
a
to
pathway to Russian athletes back in events or something. But Sarah, to your point, they do even clarify like in this communication that like there will be like a neutral team at World Team Trophy at
right,
they clarify that there will be a team.
blows my mind. Like
right.
Mine
of all of
too.
this, that I'm just that makes me mad. Like the rest, I can wrap my head around. I can like bring empathy. I can try and see like all sides of this like situation. The team actually makes me so mad as an athlete, as a fan, as someone who covers this sport.
It's
That makes no
ridiculous.
sense. And it feels that's when I'm like, okay, so like Russia is strong arming you guys and wants something done, and
Yeah.
you guys are just going, go ahead.
Yeah, and you're like, "Okay, yeah, we'll give you everything that you want, and we're just gonna call it neutral." And it's like, "Well, then it's not." And I just would rather you be upfront and say that it's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think because I think that's where a lot of this frustration comes from fans is that they receive, you know, they write this long communication like it's going to be a big deal to get neutral status. And then it really isn't, it seems like. And it's sort of like, well, you're bait and switching people. And if you were just upfront about what you're doing and what you want to do, then it would be, I think, easier for people. They may not agree with you still, right? But it's like
Yeah.
at the very least, it wouldn't feel like you're trying to pretend that it's something that it's not.
feels like
That's what bugs me. It feels
Yeah.
like you're
Right.
trying to say it's one thing when in reality it's not that. And
Yeah.
that like not that it's okay,
Just
but
say
like
what it is.
just say what it is. And then I think it would be received in a much maybe not totally different, but at least then it would feel like, okay, your integrity is like holding strong and you're painting a clearer picture of what this is going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels
yeah,
like the
and
DARE pledge that I took in 5th grade of like you won't do drugs and you won't do them, right? And
Yeah,
it
but
feels
like you like pretty much held true to your dare pledge.
So
Yeah,
maybe
that's
some
true.
people will. Yeah.
Well, I
mean,
think to me
Like, it
though, it's
worked for
just
you.
I'm a
like
shining
where are the
example.
to me it's like, okay, where are the lines though? Like you do this pledge, right? And it's like, okay, what violates the pledge other than joining the military and going to Ukraine? Like that's what I want to know because it's like being in photos
Yeah.
and content with Putin doesn't violate the
Mhm.
eligibility criteria. So it would seem like what's to stop
Eligible.
these what's to stop these athletes
Yeah.
from kind of just continuing to operate in whatever manner they want outside of the active military service of it all? You know, like what violates the pledge? I
I
don't think I know.
I don't either, but I also want to say one other thing to a point Ashley was making of saying that like, the Russians are like they're strong arming them into this position. And I would go as far as say that like I wouldn't even give Russia that much power. I do believe that this is something that the ISU wants. And I think that they see some
I think the
absolute
IOC
benefit.
wants it. Even broader, the IOC wants
Hmm.
it. And
I think
now
that there's a
the
huge
federations are
benefit
acting. Yeah.
to more eyes, to more money, to whatever.
Totally agree.
So this is like it goes both ways. So I wouldn't even go as far as like big bad mother Russia has like forced their hand yet again. This is something that they obviously want, and I think that like it's pretty ignorant to think that it wouldn't bring more people to watch an event that Kamila Valieva or Alexandra Ignatova is a part of.
Mhm. Yeah.
That would be crazy to assume that
This is
it
what they
wouldn't
want.
draw a huge audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what they want. And like and that's I think people just don't like to be gaslit. Just tell us what it is. Just say what it
Yes.
is. Don't tell us it's something that it's not.
Right.
Like I think that's like and people still there would still be people who are like they shouldn't be allowed in, period.
But then
We
that's
don't agree with
fine. Have
this.
that opinion. But like when the gaslighting, I think, is a
Yeah.
great way of putting it because
Yeah.
you're going to do what you're going to do. No problem. It's your right. This is like your skating union or the IOC. Like, this is your thing.
You're in
If you want to
charge.
do that, you're in charge and that is your right. And
Yeah.
like everybody else, it's like we can all have feelings about it, but do what you're going to do. But just say it and be upfront about what it is. And I think that honestly would like rip off the band-aid faster than trying to like smooth it over with this like conversation around neutrality and like using the quote unquote right words. Like
Right. It just feels
Right.
like
do it.
you're babying us. Like we couldn't take it
Yes.
or something. Just like tell us what you're gonna do. Like you want the Russian athletes
tell
back,
us what
like
you're gonna do.
whatever.
Yeah.
We already know that them competing as neutral athletes like means literally fucking nothing to them. They don't care.
Yeah.
They're still Russian athletes. Like that's
Right.
how they're seen at home. It's not like they've like escaped the Soviet Union and are like seeking asylum. It's like that is not what's happening. This is like not 1992.
Right.
Yeah.
Like this is fully just
Yeah, this
this
isn't like
is-
they don't have a government.
yes.
So which was the case in 92,
Right.
where it's like there is no governing body for them. Like that's not the situation.
No, they have fully organized committees and organizations that were obviously still well running like when they weren't allowed in events in 2022.
Well, it didn't slow anything down in the
Yeah.
slightest. So
Yeah. And I think it's just sort of like this communication doesn't even lay out that, hey, you can't receive government support for your skating. You can't
Mhm.
take government money. Like you can't it doesn't lay that out. So it's like they're
'Cause
going to
that's not gonna
operate like
happen.
they
They're just-
always did. They
that's
are
not
just
gonna
doing what
happen.
they've always done, and they're going to be allowed to just do what they've always done.
Business as usual.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we're being told that it's not business as usual because they're neutral. And it's like, well, yeah, it is business as usual. Like,
Right.
don't tell us that our eyes are seeing something they're not seeing.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
and so I don't know. And I really feel for the Ukrainian athletes in this situation. It's just not, there's no way that this is ever going to feel good for them or safe for
No.
them or fair for
No.
them.
Yeah.
I mean, we should have
But
known
I
that.
mean, there's been Russian athletes competing on the
Mhm.
scene. It's like I always feel really weird, especially like working in the way that I do for the ISU, like speaking about these things because I feel like I say one wrong thing and I'm like prepared to never get hired again. But like, I think as we're talking about this, it's not necessarily about the individual athletes. Like, I have not a thing against Kamila Valieva, and I think all of us have actually been incredibly supportive of her throughout,
Yeah.
the shit show and the event in general that she had to kind of like get through at the Olympics. Like my heart goes out to her. I think that a lot of these athletes are being put in just like lose-lose situations, truly.
Yeah. I agree.
So it's not
But
about them
that goes
personally.
for her, and that goes for someone like Vadim Kolesnik, right? Where it's like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
lose.
Everyone's
It's
Right.
a
losing here.
lose for everybody because war is a loser for everybody, no matter
Yes.
what. And like, that's the way of the world. Obviously, like, war is bad always, pretty much, like, always. And I just think I do, like, I understand the difficult position that the ISU is in. I do
Mhm.
understand the
Yeah.
position that they're in, and that there is not a good solution that's going to feel fair to everybody. They do not have the ability to come up with something that feels fair to everybody.
Because
Mhm.
It's not
it's
possible.
just there, it doesn't exist.
They can't make everyone happy. So they've decided that the thing that's more important to them right now is making the Russians happy.
Well, I also
Whether
think
they're
that the
doing
point
that
that
for
you
their
brought up
own
about the
good,
IOC is a
yeah,
smart one.
or they're
Like,
doing it because the IOC is telling them they want them to do it or whatever, but like, they have made their decision. And again, it's just like, just tell us what you're doing. Just
Right.
be
that's
honest
it.
about it.
Just say it.
Just
Well,
be
this war
honest
has
about
gone
it.
on
Don't
so
don't
much
do
longer
death by a
than
million cuts. Like, just
No.
get to the point.
I think the war's just gone on so much longer than anybody anticipated that now they're in this position of like, well, and
Yeah, what
it's
do we do
just,
now? We
what
thought
do
this
we
would
do
be
Yeah.
now?
over.
Right.
Yeah,
I
we
think
thought
we
this would be
all thought
over.
this would be over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I wish it was.
Yeah. I do wish it was too.
Same.
I mean, I'm going to say something kind of stupid, but I wish all wars were over.
No, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah,
But they're
agreed.
ridiculous. They're so stupid.
Yeah,
They are
right.
stupid.
War
They are
is
stupid.
dumb, by
It
the
is
way.
crazy to me in the year 2026 that like war is still a thing.
Yeah, I mean, like, come on.
But that's also the most privileged American mindset you could possibly come up with. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I think war does, you'd like to think of it as sort of a thing of the past, and it's
Yeah.
really not, and it's just
No.
something that evolves with us as the ways that we fight wars have evolved. But the idea of, I mean, this is human, this is like human nature to fight over things, like, you know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know, I won't get into philosophy about war, I guess.
Right.
But
That's our other
Right.
podcast.
our other
Yeah.
podcast is about war.
Yeah.
No, this
Not
one
this
is
one.
about Tatiana Navka suing the European Union for 2 million euros for defamation. So that's what this
Yeah.
one is about.
We're going to get sued.
She's gonna sue us for defamation. I want to tell Tatiana Navka right now, I don't have $2 million, and I'm not sure I
Yeah.
ever will.
Yeah,
No,
and-
you're
Don't
barking up
ask me for that.
the wrong union.
Yeah.
This is
Don't
a
ask me
civil
for that.
union between 3 people. This one.
Yeah. Between 3 friends.
Yeah. And collectively, we don't have any euros.
No, none
No.
whatsoever. Yeah,
But
I don't
so,
know.
just to like close it out, we'll see some of these athletes, I'm assuming, at maybe some Senior B events.
Yeah, several of them are signed up for Kinoshido Cup. That's where Sasha will be, Mark will be there, Boykova Kozlovsky will be there. That's the weekend of Labor Day, first weekend of September.
Now,
Oh my God,
Sarah,
getting right to it.
do you
Yeah.
know is there any sort of pathway to these athletes getting on a reserve list for a Grand Prix? Maybe one?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think
'Cause
they
they
can
don't
go
have
to the
enough
Grand Prix.
World standing points to even
Yeah, but I
qualify
don't
for
think
that,
they're
right?
even like eligible for Grand Prix.
So we'll see them most likely.
We'll see them at senior Bs,
European
probably throughout the
championships.
fall, and then their own nationals, obviously. And then
Mhm.
I do think, they'll get like one spot per discipline for the championship events, Europeans and Worlds.
Mhm.
I
Okay.
think they are. I think they can go to World Championships.
Yeah, I
But
would
it would
assume
just
that
be
they
one
can.
spot.
Yeah.
And then that one spot can earn more
2
spots for
spots,
the
yeah.
following year, kind of
I feel
thing.
like if you only have 1 entry, you can only at maximum earn a
Get
second
2.
spot.
Correct.
I think to earn 3,
you
you
have to
have to
work
have
your way
2
up to
entries.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but again, it's like if you can earn a spot for someone else, that's a team. That's
Right.
not an individual athlete. That's a
No.
team. So just
Yeah.
call it what it is.
Right. No, if it were truly
Russia.
individual athletes who had like no
Yeah.
home, it'd be like, here are 5 spots open for individual neutral athletes.
Right.
But
Yeah.
we
Don't
know
give
that
them
that's
that
not
idea.
what it
All of a
is.
sudden, we're gonna have 5 Russian athletes. They're like, great idea. Actually, let's do that.
We got this from the run through. They have
The
2
run
million euros. Here's 2 million euros for your great idea. We go right to court.
Speaking of Kinoshita Cup,
Mhm.
Sarah, you sent this. I saw it this morning too. That Yuna Nagaoka and Sumitada Maruguchi had to withdraw because
Yes.
Yuna suffered a fractured leg in
she
a
got hit by a
car accident.
car riding her bike.
Oh
And
broke
my
her
leg.
God. Ridiculous.
Just glad she's alive, dude.
Yeah,
Yes.
Like,
I know.
my God.
It's
But I
so
feel,
scary.
feel so bad for them.
Yeah. So sending out
Yeah.
healing vibes. I hope it's not her landing leg. That would be like a really scary recovery coming back.
Yeah. I mean, again,
Scary regardless.
yeah.
That's awful.
I know.
Before we leave, do we have any good news? I feel like we've talked about.
We have a live show in 2 weeks.
Yes, we do.
That's
we
good
have a live
news.
show.
When you see me at the live show, I will be a resident of Boston, Massachusetts.
I can't
wait.
wait.
I can't wait.
Finally.
Actually, all 3 of us will be residents during that week.
That's true.
correct.
You guys, Adam and Sarah, we just got Rosie a trundle bed, and Adam and Sarah will be sleeping on the trundle bed until
can't
my
wait.
actual guest
Dream.
room bed arrives.
I had to explain to Adam what a trundle bed was on the phone the other day.
Oh,
I was
it's
like,
so
we're
cute.
sleeping, we're sharing a trundle bed. He goes, I don't know what that is. I'm like, the second bed is basically comes out from a drawer underneath the first bed.
Yeah.
He said, I'm going to sleep in a drawer.
Yeah. I'm like,
Yeah.
wee Willy Winky. Like,
Right.
just pull out
You're
a
going to look
drawer.
like one of those photos from like a 1940s secretary who brings her baby to work and like puts it in the filing cabinet to sleep.
Yeah. I just feel like I'm going to be like, Jack be nimble, Jack be quick. Jack jump over the candlestick and like into his trundle. Like, that's what it feels like to me. Can I
Yeah.
also tell you some other fascinating news?
Yes.
Just to end. So I've been trying to learn a little bit more about Synchro 9 as we
Okay.
like get closer and closer
Mhm.
to an Olympics where synchronized skating will be involved. And I found out that they're preparing in this next season, they have to prepare 3 different kinds of programs. Okay.
Okay.
Whoa.
And they're told that they want them to be all very fun and quote urban.
Oh,
Hate that.
boy.
Yeah. So they have now
You had
Okay.
us, you lost us.
the 3 programs that they have are, one is in this it's 3 minutes and 30 seconds and it's a street dance theme. Should I end now?
Goodbye.
So it's street dance. Their second program is a BPM program, and the beats per minute need to be between 110 and 120 beats per minute.
Wait,
so it's
isn't
more of
that
a
pretty
rhythm.
fast?
Yeah, I mean, it's like,
No, it's not
I
too
think
bad.
it's pretty fast.
It's like it's a clip for sure.
I think it's gonna feel fast if you have to do it for a long time, like for
That's
the
true.
whole program. Like that would feel
and
fast.
then the final program is a free program. And the way that they're planning on judging it is there's a maximum score of 100, and there are 5 technical judges and 5 artistic judges. And from what I've learned, it seems like it'll like in the next season or two, it'll be somewhat of a free for all because there are no like prescribed technical elements. So it's not like
Oh, interesting.
not like your double axles get this amount of points because the strategy of these teams is still like being built of like,
Yeah,
are
that's
you
so
going to
new.
put 9 single skaters together and try to teach them how to synchronize skate, or are you going to put like 9 professional Finnish synchro skaters together who know how to skate like they're one person and have them do single axle?
Right.
Like, what's more valuable, the
Right now, my
synchronized
bet
skating
is on the
skill?
Finnish team.
Yeah, agreed.
Well,
Always.
what's really interesting is like from what I've heard is that when it comes to the Finnish team, they're kind of at a disadvantage because their synchro skaters are so strong that technically you could have like a Canadian team or a Japanese team or a Korean team go out and they could technically do like side by side triples, which if you have a Finnish team going out there doing a single axle, which is why right now I feel like they're not going to be judging it like this element gets this amount of points, where it's sort of encompassing like technically what's the level of this team. So
More
it's
like
going
the
to
6.0
yes,
system.
Okay.
almost like it's a better option at this point.
I'm curious.
No, I'm very
Um,
curious. I'm so
yeah.
excited to learn more.
And we're going to stay
But-
curious because I think we're trying to get ourselves to a synchro event.
Oh, we're going to synchro this year.
Yeah.
We're
we are.
going to
100%.
synchro this year.
Yeah, it's happening.
Yeah, we're going, and and at the very end of the season, we'll be Synchro 3.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
or we just
us.
find 3 more skaters or sorry, 6 more
6
skaters.
more skaters. Michelle
Yeah.
Or
Ellis.
synchro 6. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's one of ours. Who else can we draft?
Andrea
into-
Joyce.
Who else can we?
Andrea
conscript?
Joyce,
I'm
Terry
going to
Gannon.
happy hour with Andrea Joyce today, by the way.
Oh, I'm so
Oh
jealous.
my gosh.
wait.
Tell her hi because I
also-
didn't get to see her when
I'll
she was
send
on
you guys
island.
a picture.
Technically, like right now, men aren't allowed to be on these teams. So
Oh.
they're female only, and a part of the reason they were able to get this like passed through like
Because of the gender equity of
Was
the
Yes,
because they
Olympics.
kicked out
was.
the men. Mhm.
yes, so it was
Yeah.
gender equity
Yeah,
to get the
that
quota
makes
of
sense.
female athletes up, and so that
Got
was
it.
part of how synchro got
All right, so you're out. You're our coach, Adam.
Yeah.
done.
damn.
So we
Nothing
have
about men being
Michelle.
coaches.
We have
Michelle,
Andrea Joyce.
yeah, 2.
That's
4.
We could get Paulina Edmonds in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah.
Are you
Let's
kidding?
recruit. We're recruiting Paulina.
Oh, and then
Of
you'll all be in
course.
merch. You'll all be in
We're
Iron
Yeah,
all
Butter
we're
gonna wear
already
merch.
out.
Paulina's
Costumes
merch
taken
as our
care of.
uniform.
Maybe we could get Mariah then. I think if we can say
Oh,
like,
Mariah's-
Mariah would
Paulina's
do it.
joined, Mariah would do it.
We would get Mariah. Ashley, you can recruit Shaylin.
1000%. Yeah.
She'll be on our
Canadian.
team.
Does she have American citizenship? Like,
I-
is she going to be
Shit.
in?
Oh,
We
you're
don't
right.
need another
Caitlin
like
Weaver.
Chris.
Yeah,
She has
dual.
U.S. citizenship.
Dual.
And she's
We
been
can
out
have
of the
her.
game long enough.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
that
They
is
would-
important.
Caitlin.
They would release her.
Caitlin's our choreographer and member of our team. Adam
Fabulous.
is our coach and co-choreographer.
Yes. Because I'm the
Um,
eyes on the outside. Caitlin's the
Mhm.
eyes on the inside.
Yeah.
Because all good programs are choreographed from the inside out.
Maybe we
Okay.
could get Sarah Everhart to put her like career on pause for a second.
I want to get Tatiana Malinina. That's who I want.
She's
Okay.
got to have U.S. citizenship by now.
Yeah. I wasn't even thinking about citizenship. I guess
I
I
am.
don't know
I'm always-
her status.
I'm always thinking logistically, how are we getting these women to the games?
Yeah.
Right.
Star Andrews is always up for trying a new discipline.
She's always up for it. Deanna
That's true.
Stellato.
Deanna Stellato definitely
There we
has
go.
U.S. citizenship.
She's going to be the one we lift.
We're her new partner
Yeah.
Yeah,
collectively.
The collective.
that's what it'll be.
All right. Well, you guys, this was an emergency episode. We felt like it needed to happen. So
Yeah.
I'm glad we
Yeah.
talked about this.
A pause from the lore horse for us to talk about geopolitical relations
Yeah.
Yeah.
and international court cases against the European Union.
Right. I hope that we don't get sued by Navka, and I hope that the ISU
For
does still
what?
choose to hire me.
Yeah,
Yeah, agreed on both counts.
those are two choices for sure.
Yeah.
Don't sue,
Um,
hire.
And if you want more conversations like this, you can join our Patreon where we do
Yeah,
bonus
we're-
episodes.
We're
Every
doing
week.
this every week. So
Yes.
if you're missing skating conversation, head on over there.
Yeah,
More
we were gonna-
skating conversation.
Yeah.
We were originally going to do this as a bonus episode, but we were like, there's just too much, like, everyone should have access to our
This knowledge.
opinion.
To our
I mean,
opinion, it's important.
I
But
do
it's-
think this topic is important.
It
I
is
don't know that my
important.
opinion on it is important, but I do think that the discussion is important.
Now, I don't even think mine is important either. And I think it's just important that people have this conversation because we're all talking about it.
Yeah. The
It's
dialogue
what we're all
is
thinking
important.
about right now. And as we're getting ready for the season, I think like it's a really interesting situation that we're all in, that we're just kind of taking it communication by communication at this point.
Yeah.
Yep.
As they say, we're all flying
One
around on this rock together.
Exactly, Ashley. One one ISU communication at a time.
Yeah. What communication was that one on, Ashley?
That's
The
one.
Bible.
Yeah.
That's the first
the
communication.
New Testament of the ISU. Old Testament, excuse me.
BC,
And-
before Celine, AD.
Before
after
communication.
Dion.
After
Before
communication.
communications.
Mhm. All right, everybody. I think
We love
that's,
you.
I
that's
think
it from us.
That's a wrap.
It's a wrap. That's amore.
That's
Bye,
showbiz,
everybody.
baby.
We'll talk to you soon. Come to our live show